Welcome. This is episode 2 of Fatherhood Unplugged. Welcome, dad, stepdad, and all those in between. I'm your host, Troy. This is my co-host, Jay, with the Fatherhood Unplugged background. I'm loving it, Jay. Today we have episode 2 with Nick. Nick has a special situation. We want to kind of talk about his journey through fatherhood and everything he has going on in his life, and hopefully, kind of everything he does to unwind and just his daily things with being a dad resonate with you, and we can help shed some light on kind of his journey through fatherhood and his journey in fatherhood. How you doing, Nick?
What's up? Doing good. Happy to be here.
Perfect. How you doing, Nick?
What's up? Doing good. Happy to be here.
Perfect. So, Nick, tell us a little about you. I want to know kind of where you're from, what your fatherhood journey looks like, and just a little bit about your relationship setup.
All right. So, born and raised in Florida, Central Florida, Orlando area. Lived there all my youth. Moved up to Michigan when I was 19. I'm 37, so I've been here ever since. People always ask me why I left.
Yeah, man, Florida's so nice, man. It's like
Florida sucks. Florida sucks.
I went to school in the south.
It's
That weather
just
is
hot.
nice.
It's
Okay.
The weather sucks. It's just hot all the time. It's not always a vacation when you're there. So when you live there every day in the grind, it's brutal. But I came up here, like I said, at 19, kind of bounced around, jobs, just searching for something. Always avoided sales because I didn't, kind of was scared of commission. But now
What kind of jobs did you work? What kind of jobs did you work before?
So I did a lot of delivery. So I did a lot of appliance delivery. Did that, kind of traveled around a little bit. There was my boy had a company, so needed some help. So I jumped in the truck, did some work in New York, came back. We did some work in Michigan too. And then I started, I did a moving company, operations manager for a couple of years, about 3 years. That's a rough one to get into. It's a rough business, especially starting like a new location. It was the first store they opened in Michigan, so it was very busy, right in Oak Park, right,
Okay.
just very congested area. And then they marketed like crazy. So it's small. It's like the largest privately owned moving company in the country. So they had a lot of money to put behind advertising and things like that. Things took off like a rocket. So very stressful. Didn't like management. The only part of the job I did like was the sales part. So I was like, you know what? Stop fighting this. This is stupid. Just go do some sales. So I got it in. Willie works at Novi, got me in. Could have got me in years before, but I turned it down. So
Yeah.
finally took the job at Gardner White. Been there for about a year and a half. Love it for the most part.
Okay.
But my situation, Alyssa and I have known each other for about 8 years now.
Okay.
Maybe closer to 9. We started off basically being the same friend circle, so we just kind of hung around the same people, that she did, that I did. Kind of a funny backstory. I played a lot of beer pong on the professional type level. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it is what it is. So we just kind of that's what brought us together, and then that's the people that were around that circle was those people. So I've known her for a while before. She had a child with also a person I know, which makes my situation a little bit more unique. Because him and I were acquaintances, not really friends, didn't hang out outside of beer pong, just only when that was going on.
Yeah, I remember you kind of told me something about that. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, so I knew who he was. I remember them announcing it at the bar that they were having a kid, and it was a boy, and whatever. So it just was like I said, it was one of those things where you don't pay much attention to it, but it was there.
Yeah.
And then her and I got together shortly before COVID. So
Okay.
remember in March when everything kind of hit the fan. That's when we started talking. So a little bit before that, and then we've since we moved in together about within probably 6 months.
Okay.
She had when I met her, he was about a year and a half, almost two, closer to two. Little boy, and we had our first kid in October of 21.
Okay.
And then we 16 months later to the day had our last one, another little girl. So 2 little girls together, plus a bonus child from a previous.
Okay. So with the kids, I know you said the son is how old is
he's 6 now. He'll be 7 in August.
Okay. So it's 3 total. And what were the ages again?
Now they're 2, 3, and 6.
2, 3, and 6.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a random question, but like with the 6-year-old, do you feel like you parent any differently than you do the other 2?
No.
No. Okay.
No. And that was a weird situation because I would discipline him.
Okay.
With her permission. Obviously, I didn't step out of wasn't that I was spanking him or anything, but if he needed it, I would get stern. And because he did kind of need that, because he's going through a very tumultuous time for the breakup. So he, more than anything, needs some structure, and some kind of, authority,
For sure.
So yeah, I discipline him the same way I discipline my daughters. And it wasn't until we had my daughters that she, as in my fiance Alyssa, could see that it was the same way. I didn't prefer
she can realize okay,
and now she's like, okay, it's just the way I am. So it's just the way I parent. So
got you. So would you say you're more the disciplinarian?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
I wear those pants too.
Yeah, that's usually how dads go. I'm the disciplinarian. I kind of make sure things get done.
Oh yeah, that's me.
What about you, Jay? Are you more the fun parent or the disciplinarian?
I'm for sure the fun parent. I'm usually the one that gets my kid in trouble with his mom. It's kind of like, Jason. I'm like, yeah, I know. I shouldn't have said that, done that. No, I'm the kind of the instigator of the fun. Actually,
Okay.
I tried to always do it safe, but no, I've always been the fun dad, like Uncle Jay. They had the whole graduation party one year last year. Chanting Uncle Jay. So. No,
but Jay, as long as you don't die, it was safe.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm saying. No one went to jail that night. She was over the age of 18.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but so let's be serious, Nick. You said you got a couple of kids under the age of 10.
Oh yeah.
How's that on your mental health?
Horrible. So I didn't have my kids until 35. So most of my friends was either didn't have kids at all and still don't have kids, or had them in their young 20s. They messed up early. Not to say messed up, but they did what they did.
Early. They started
I had one at 19. So I mean, what do you say, bud?
So messed up. No, but so I was one thing kind of like I'm a little bit of the older dad. Like I said, most of my friends are either dads, and they've been dads for a while now. So
yeah.
But that's a little unique, I guess. Like I said, I feel like I was more ready to have kids this time versus in my 20s. I would have messed up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so like for you, like your childhood, like how were your parents when it came to like you, and your upbringing?
So my parents split when I was 3.
Okay.
So I bounced back. Between custody between them two, visitations and weekends, and my mom had it at one time, and then my dad had it at one time. So there was times where like I lived with my mom for a while, then I think until I was like 6, and then my dad got me until I was like, I don't know, 15.
Okay.
So then like in the last couple of years I went back to live with my mom, so I kind of bounced back and forth.
Okay. And do you feel like that's kind of why you waited maybe a little later for kids?
Yeah, I always told myself, like, I know it's it's hard to like do, but you want to take, that precaution. It's like, I always told myself, I always believe that like you're not done growing as a person in your late teens and early 20s and late 20s, and maybe not even into your 30s, where you start to realize like who you really are as a person.
For sure.
Yeah, of course you grow and develop, but like most of your core things, like that's, you find out more about who you are. Some people do it earlier, but you as you get older, you kind of just know where you lay in the sand, and then that way when you meet somebody, you can really, my thought process was like really make sure you're compatible and you have less of a chance of divorce.
For sure.
So does it always work? No.
So yeah.
But because I know there's stories of like people who were together for a few months and then hit it off and got married, and they've been married for 25 years and kids are not, like they're still together. So every person's journey is different, but that's my thought process.
Definitely. So I mean, you kind of pretty much told me, I mean, your family dynamic is a little different, right?
Yeah.
So, your fiance, she has a child with somebody y'all that had like a common acquaintance with,
Yeah.
which is a little different. And then now y'all have 2 daughters for the 2 of y'all, which is amazing. And then y'all are engaged, so that's
Yep.
also a thing as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's such a beautiful thing.
It is.
It's a journey, man. It's a journey.
It is.
So
The good, the bad, the different. So how does, with your busy work schedule, you work with us and you're a very highly motivated entrepreneur yourself, by finding time for the wife time and the kid time and time to go up north and yourself time, and like what's like, if you get an hour a week to yourself, is that like a win?
Yeah. I mean, really Fridays I don't start till 11.
Okay.
And she leaves the house early. She's out the door around like 6:30. Sometimes I wake up and help her. If I do wake up, sometimes I wake up and she's gone, and I didn't even hear. I didn't even hear her figure out the bed. So I'm like, oh, okay. So those, like, I look forward to that time. Like that's a nice time for me to just whatever I do. I may like make actual breakfast. Throw some eggs down, some bacon or something. Like cook some.
Right, make it bacon, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
It's a nasty thing,
Or
but it happens.
sometimes I literally just sleep until as late as I can, or if I wake up, I'm just chilling, doing what I want to do. So yeah, busy schedule work wise is tough. I think it's probably the hardest part of the job is the schedule, like what we like least about it. But you at the same time have to be there on the busier weekends because that's when people are shopping. So
Right, and that's
it's
exactly
a catch-22. But this job with a young family is really tough. It's definitely a lot tougher. Like if you were, let's say, an older person who kids are grown, or you're a younger guy or gal and you don't have kids, you're single or whatever. Even if you're not single, but you're just feeding yourself, it's a good job. You know what I mean? Like
no,
you
absolutely.
can those holidays suck, but you can party and still make it work. Kind of thing.
And what kind of work does she do?
So she is a treatment coordinator at a orthodontic office. She really wears lots of hats. She does a lot of stuff, but that's her main title, is that.
Yeah.
So she basically is the person you see. She coordinates your treatment from start to finish with either braces or Invisalign.
Okay.
And
Cool.
then so she's like that person that you can call, reach out to. She's gonna call you and set your appointments up, things like that.
Okay.
So she works it's a very demanding job. It's busy, so her days are 9 to 5, work Monday through Friday, but you can see it. She comes home exhausted, just like I do.
For sure. So this is kind of just a quick question. So kind of touching back on your blended family. So is your son's father, is he active?
Oh yeah. So again, I have another unique situation besides the fact that I knew both of them before what's evolved now. But so they have a split schedule, which at first I was a little bit opposed. I wanted obviously to have custody, but I thought stability would be the best thing because of how I grew up, but didn't work out that way. They have a very split 50-50 schedule, legally down to the day, pretty much. We get 3 days a week every other week. So we get the fourth every other week. So it splits it, 3-3, and then we rotate Saturdays. But he's always been in the picture. He's never been out of the picture. He's not an idiot. He's a good dude, good head on his shoulders.
Good.
It was a little rough at first because obviously
Yeah, he
I'm
got
with
two
his
guys.
girl, and
Yeah,
it's his ex, and that's
For sure.
whatever. So, and he knew me, and he didn't like it, but it took a few years. We didn't talk, we didn't speak at all, but it wasn't like I didn't have anything against him. He may have not liked me at the time, and I get that, but like it never was a ill will type of thing. But since then we've come around where like we've on certain days we'll hang out with whatever's going on with Johnny, and no, it's they co-parent like 100%. They don't like argue, they don't fight. He's not disrespectful,
that's
And
amazing.
she's not, she doesn't.
that's the best way. I mean, that's one
It's
of the best things about me
That's
and
what I'm saying. Like, that's a unique situation for me. Another one is that there's none of that going on. And I know I would say 90% of people that go through that, there's a lot of drama, and there's a lot of
For sure.
women and men
yeah.
fighting, using the kid as a pawns and advantages, all that kind of stuff. I don't have to deal with any of that.
Yeah, and I
So
got
that's a
super
blessing.
lucky with my ex with all that. Marcus's mom is absolutely great. We communicate on multiple different levels.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
That's good. So, so Nick, with all of that, that's actually great because,
Yeah.
like you said, you do hear a lot of situations where there's turmoil, like one person hates another, and the kids
Well, what
kind of
that leads to basically is I don't have to be his dad.
That's real.
I get to be a bonus dad.
Yeah,
I just get
Right.
to be
I like that. I like
an
that.
example,
For
just
sure.
another. But because I don't need to step on those boundaries, so I don't ever I don't make him call me dad.
Okay.
He does because I don't. He's kind of confused, I think, sometimes because my daughters call me dad.
Yeah.
He does too. It's cool. I don't tell him no, but I don't
Yeah.
tell him to call me dad, so that's cool. But again, I don't need to feel those, so that takes a lot of pressure off of me, honestly. Not that I treat him any different, or I don't look at him like he's my own, but I don't, at the end of the day, I don't have to try to be his dad. He has a dad, and who's still in the picture, and who's a good dude.
I love the fact that you respect that
Yeah.
like boundary. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, in all honesty, I mean, you are his dad. Y'all are
Yeah.
his dad. Right?
For
Like,
sure.
y'all are-
Yeah.
and
No, and that's exactly it too.
I've known him since he's before he was 2. Like,
yeah,
I've been in his life
he
since,
knows.
It's
Yeah,
huge.
he knows. I got two dads and one
yeah.
mom.
It's
It probably
okay.
sounds
Right.
weird at the parent teachers conferences. Like, I got two dads and one mom. They're like, what
But
kind of
I
situation y'all got going on?
You know,
at-
and here's a funny story on my end when it comes to that same type of topic. And I felt very indifferent about it, but the first time I'm always been doing something and always very busy. And it's not that I wasn't active in Marcus's life, but I was always a couple hours away, so it's when I have a day off or whatnot. And they had this really great program, like the Brothers and Sisters program.
Mhm.
And so his big brother was this owner of, if you ever been to Clare, Michigan, he's one of the Dohertys. So and this guy, at first I felt indifferent about it because I'm like, I got some of my friends calling. It was in the newspaper, and Jim Doherty, head of Doherty Hotel in Clare, Michigan, big brother to Marcus Mayfield. So they're like, well, where's Jay? So at first I was like very indifferent about it, but this guy has so much class and was able to like do stuff with them. And I think the world of the guy. He gave him Christmas gifts, take him to baseball games, and that program is so big. And I'd always say, if your kid wants to be involved in that because you're so busy, just let them, because it's a great program for extra mentorship from someone that wants to make a difference in your kid's life.
Yeah, my dad always would tell me it's not what you know, it's who you know, and
Yeah.
you never can pass up on an opportunity to build a relationship with someone, right? So no matter
Right.
where it's from, and
Yeah.
sometimes I think as adults or as men, sometimes we let our ego and our pride get in the
Right.
way of an opportunity. Some people call it a blessing. Some people, I look at it as both. And you never want to block that for yourself or your child, especially your child, right? I'll,
Yeah.
I'll pass up on an opportunity for myself as if my child has a better opportunity, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to propel them farther along than we are ourselves, right? So,
Right.
I do well. I'm okay. I'll figure it out. But I want to put him in a position, my child, in a position to be that much more successful than I was, and just better, and just in a better overall situation than me.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. That's what co-parenting is really all about. For like, if my son shouldn't feel bad if he didn't want to come for a weekend because he'd rather go to a sleepover or go do something. It should never be used as a weapon. Always the kid's choice, but both
For sure.
sides have to be reasonable for it. 'Cause
Just
it is
like
about the kid.
this week coming up, I'm actually working. I usually don't work Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm actually working Monday, so I can have Friday off. My mom's coming into town from Florida, so
Oh, Nick,
Monday.
I'm gonna be working Monday. Don't be stepping on my days. I'm working.
Just one time. But so I don't work till 1, so I'll be able to get him on the bus and that kind of thing. But we really didn't have anybody to get him off the bus, and his dad was like, "Yeah, not a big problem. I'll go pick him up."
Amazing, man.
And then
That
on
is
the way
so
home from when she gets off, because I'll be working till 9, she'll swing home and on the way home and grab him. That's another bonus thing that's kind of unique as well. He lives 7 streets down the road from me.
Oh, y'all are neighbors.
Well,
We literally,
that's
I just
different,
crossed
right?
over Middle Belt, and he's like the 3rd street down the right. So it's like
Oh,
stupid.
that makes it amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's the kind of things like we'll do. Like, he didn't have to. He could have been like, nope, I don't have to.
no,
And some people are in a relationship that's very toxic, will be petty to each other, like, oh, sorry, it sucks to be you. Find your own, person. But he knows down the road one day he might be in a pinch or something, and he'll be like, hey, can you do this? And who's not going to turn down extra time, So, and just to help out, like, hey, reciprocate the favor, So
yeah, I mean, it's a great working relationship, and kind of just to get back on topic, because I want to make this about you, and how you unplug and everything. But like, we're still kind of talking about your fatherhood journey a little bit, so I want to kind of ask you a couple questions. Like, how did you feel when you first found out like you were about to become a dad for the first time? Like, how did it make you feel? And then like, what
well,
was the most rewarding part of that?
it's honestly, I feel like for dads, because it's not happening to your own body, it didn't really sink in. I didn't really hit me. And some people are like, oh, it doesn't. But like as the baby, like as she gets bigger, you'll start to like realize it. And even then, it really didn't. It hit me the day of. We had a planned C-section. So we knew we were going in. She's getting sliced open, yanked out, stitched. We're out. You know what I mean?
Definitely a dad way to say
It's
it.
2-hour appointment. You know what I mean?
Cut open.
How romantic.
So
You
honestly, yeah, I know, right?
crying. We there. I'm a parent now.
Pull it out, stitch it back up. We're good. No, um,
Daddy Stitch.
but no, the time it really sunk in. Like, I'm not saying I didn't notice when we were buying stuff and getting a baby shower, and it was happening. You're seeing the little outfits and stuff, and the picture's getting more clear. You get the 3D ultrasound picture of the face, and you're like, yeah, but the night before, because it's like normal birth. It's when you don't know, the water breaks, and it's kind of like you don't know.
Yeah.
C-section, I'm going in. I know. Say we're here at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I should be holding my baby like 10:15. You know what I mean? Let's go. And the first time it was really like the morning of, because it was balls, or it was like 5 a.m. We had to be like at the hospital by 6. And Johnny was with his dad, so that was cool. We didn't have to worry about, because technically those are our days, but obviously, so he went over there, and it hit me when like we were just getting there. Like that's when I was like, oh wow, like when I walk out of this place, I'm a dad.
Yeah.
So
hit
it
you like
just
a
didn't hit
whirlwind.
me. It just didn't hit me until later on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Then the second one, kind of the same thing. I knew what to expect this time, so I was like,
Yeah.
I'm already a dad. Like it's a little less special, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, you're still happy.
So like, what's something that like your kids have kind of taught you about life a little bit, and then maybe like a little bit of a like something you kind of feel like you failed at a little bit, but you can kind of look at and kind of laugh at now?
Patience. I think that's the biggest thing. Personally, for me, was patience. Like I didn't realize how impatient I was until I had kids. I was like, my God. Um,
They
and
will put
then
you to the
just
brink.
I think also just like the value of time,
Yeah.
because you only have kids for little kids for like 4 years. After that, boom. Because school takes up 8 hours of their day, 10 hours of their day, and then after school activities as they get older takes up more of their time. And then they're teenagers and they don't want to hang out with you, dad, because you're dad and you're lame. So they don't want to hang out with their friends. And then
And then they
they're
move off to
18.
college, and
Yeah,
then
right.
next thing you know,
And
they're getting
it's
married.
gone.
Oh my
So it's
God.
like I'm trying to like savor it, I've started to just kind of sometimes I think I catch myself being a little over, because I understand like life is, you know, nothing's gonna hit as hard as life does. So I'm trying to like be strict to like teach them values and have them understand, be more, prepared. So our job is to prepare our children for life. But sometimes I just need to like learn to just, let them be kids. Let them do, let them eat the extra piece of candy. Let them jump off the couch onto the cushions one more time, because
For sure.
eventually there's not going to be toys on my floors, and that's going to be gone, and you'll miss it.
Yeah, that's one thing I've tried to like
I don't
improve
know,
on.
Nick.
Maybe you won't. I mean, maybe you don't miss it, but
Yeah.
I'm sure
I
I
at
don't
some
know.
definitely,
point
like I said, my
you
son's
will.
2.5. He'll be 3 before I
Yeah,
know.
you got one more going, like it hits the reset button for you, kind
Yeah.
of thing. Because that's what it did for us. Was like, okay, these first 16 months were great, and then it's like we get to do it all over again with the bonus of already having a 16-month-old.
Yeah.
Which was the most challenging thing we've ever gone through, 100%.
Well, see, I'm not gonna lie. I think with my son,
You have a
where
good
I
gap.
had to
You have a
realize,
good gap.
no, for sure, but I had to realize for me, it was more so. And on one hand, like, all right, my son's 2.5. He's about to be 3. He's actually a little over 2.5.
Yeah.
And I went to go lay with him one day, and he was like, "No, Dad, you can go downstairs." And I was like, "Oh, what you mean?" Like, we were having a moment. I thought we were about to share, just like shut it down. And I'm like, "Oh man, no, I really got to start cherishing these moments more, because like, I know he was just saying it because he was just being, I'm a big boy, I got it. But like, I'm like,
It makes you think.
Not too long ago, you were like crying like to high hell, like
It's
I
the
need to
same
be
with
with
Jay.
my daddy.
I mean, he's only, what was he, 13, 14?
Yeah, 13.
He's only 13 months. That's still a cool age,
That's a super fun age. I mean, we
I
do all
can't
kind of
get to that
exploring
age too.
together.
Like, as much as I don't want to like get to that age just yet, like that's gonna be fun times too.
It's the fun age. I mean, as soon as like 11, like I'm gonna say like 11 and 12 years old. I mean, those are the fun years. They start to like, they seen you do all this stuff, and then they come into their own. And one of my coolest stages, and it happened with both my kids, is when you hear them listening to all the same music that you do, that you did, right? All the same generation. Hey, Dad, have you ever heard of Nirvana or Ozzy Osbourne? And it's like the coolest conversations because it's so relatable. You're like, it's about time.
Yeah.
Like, well, because
it
you
comes
can
from
remember
like the Blues Clues stuff to Kids Bob to, well, have you ever heard of Bon Jovi? Hell yeah.
Well,
Let's
that's
do
because
this.
like you can actually relate to like when that music came out. If it's like, if it was like, when you were a kid, like, what was going on in the world. Like,
so I think I got 11. Marcus started talking about Johnny Cash. So I'm like, let's talk about some Johnny Cash.
Right.
See, for me, it's more like, obviously, I like music, obviously, but like for me, it's more like my son is 2, but when he gets to that like 4, when he's really in sports, I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
Because I want to be that dad who's like, all right, son, we're about to do this. Let's do some drills in the backyard.
Yeah.
Like that's just,
you're excited to share your knowledge and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because of what you went through,
And for me, like my dad was active in my life for sure. And like my parents were married and all of that, but like he wasn't a let's go play catch in the backyard kind of person. Like the crazy thing is my dad had baseball scholarships and things.
Yeah.
And but it just, he worked and that was his thing, and when he would get off, I would be in practice. So by the time I was done with practice, it was late. So the benefit is like the pros and cons, right? You look at I'm off on Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's a negative kind of when it comes to just doing things with other adults
Yeah.
because they're usually off on the weekend. But it's a
Yeah.
positive, for my child because boom, when he's at school and he gets out of school, boom, hey, listen, right after practice or right before practice, let's go do this, or
Yeah.
if it's off season, let's go play catch, let's go hoop, let's go do some other little extracurricular, let's go get some workout, let's go to the gym,
Right.
so like I'm kind of more ready for those moments.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy just how quickly time flies.
Mhm.
So kind of back to you, Nick. All right. So when you can kind of break free of the kids, they're taking a nap or whatever it may be, what do you do to unwind? What do you do to like recharge? I said this last time, are you a mani pedi guy? Are you
So I did get my first pedicure like a few months ago. I was at
congratulations.
work. I was at work when I
Welcome
told
to the
people
crew.
about it. I was like, "This is actually really fucking nice." To be honest,
It's a game changer.
I know this is why she disappears
Mhm.
every 2 weeks to go do this because this is
Nice.
nice.
I haven't done it
Uh,
yet, so I still have my judgments.
we're gonna
no,
take
dude. I mean,
Uh,
there's a few parts where like they'll like rake it, and I'm a little ticklish, so like I'll flinch a little bit, like I'm like, oh shit, like it'll get me a little bit, but it's only when they're like trying to like sand your feet down and shit,
yeah,
like like with the little buff stone or
yeah, like
whatever they're
their
using.
skin and yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but it does. There's some certain areas that I'm like, okay. But other than that, like it's the leg massage for me. Like the
it does
calf.
it to
It's
you.
the calf. Like I don't give a shit about what they're doing about the feet feel good, don't get me wrong, but it's that calf. And then depending on what package you get, because there's a package, you know what I mean? But if you get the top of the
Jesus.
line one, you get the hot towel with the stones on it. It'd be nice. It's nice.
Fatherhood
Lavender.
Unplugged, and this is how we unwind.
Listen,
Manis and
no, I
pennies.
Oh,
don't. So
you
no,
do it, Jay.
I just thought that was a cool experience to share. But also so
See, now he's thinking about those pedicures, bro.
no, I need to go get a,
Rubbing your
I need
feelings
to go
out.
see
That's
my
what
girl
Trey likes
Tammy
to
Lynn and
call
get
it.
it done. But no, I mean it depends. It just depends on the day. Sometimes it's just one of those days where like I don't want to think anymore. I've been crunching numbers. I've been doing, this and this and getting prices. You guys know how it goes. And sometimes you just want your mind to just shut off. And like before, so I started some therapy. Her and I actually both did started some couples therapy. And the phone is kind of the worst thing you can do when you're like that. And we're all just creature of habit to just grab our phone when we're bored or when we just want to be entertained. But I've started to and it's not like sub that screen for another screen. It's drop a screen altogether and just go think or just go sit outside if it's not freezing cold or, go sit in your car, listen to music, if it's like late at night or something like that. So that was kind of like some tips, like some stress management tips too. But so I'm trying to like alter that, and I just started going to work and back out, so that's another outlet.
Yeah.
At night sometimes I'll come home, I'll smoke. That just kind of calms me down from the day. And then just if I'm home and I can spend time with the kids, that actually is nice to come home and play with tiny humans who don't want to be rude and let me out the door, because that's one of the best feelings is coming home as a parent. I think even if you had older kids that are like, hey dad, like what's up, good to see you, or kids that run and go dad, like it's just a great feeling. So that's another way to unwind sometimes is with the kids. But yeah, so that's how I try to
So
kick back the day.
So with do you do your own like private therapy sessions, or is it primarily just a couples thing?
So we're doing individual now. So
Okay.
it's just one-on-one. We just started. So it's just one-on-one. We see the same person, different days of the week or whatever. And then she said, like down the road, they'll eventually merge it to where they sit down together.
Before, did you have any like preconceived notions about therapy? Like I know sometimes guys are very like,
I did it. I did it once when I was a kid. My stepmom wanted me to see somebody.
Okay.
And it didn't work because I didn't want it to work. So I kind of sabotaged it. Whereas
Yeah.
this time, with therapy, you have to be open and honest. You have to be open to what this person's trying to tell you about yourself and, ways to help. And you have to be honest with yourself, because at the end of the day, if you're not honest with yourself or with the person, it's not going to work. I mean, you're wasting your time and your money and everything else. So, that's going into it. That's what you kind of have to do. You just have to just be open and honest. Like whatever you do, you say it, hey, this is what's going on. So,
No, that's amazing, bro. I
yeah.
actually said that in our episode 1. I was talking about like how important therapy is, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a person who's an impartial person who doesn't care left or right, right? They just
Yeah.
want to give you um, different tools to use to improve
Yeah.
your life, to improve your mental health.
Even if it's not, I feel like everyone should go see a therapist. Like I really do. There probably isn't enough therapists for people, but everybody should go, because even if you're not, my dynamic is different than everybody else's dynamic, whether you're, with a person or not, or if you're single or not like single, but like you're not with the mother of your child, like that's a different, but even if you're, like I said, even if you are single, you should go see a therapist, because there's always things about yourself that you can change, that you can do better,
Oh, for
or stop doing, like quit doing, or learning just more about yourself and why you do the things that you do. Like why they're basically telling you how your brain is programmed. This is what you're doing. So you have to kind of either, okay, the more you understand it, the more you can start to you know deter yourself from doing those things that you're doing before. So I feel like that just adds benefit to you as a person, that you know more about yourself, so that when you go into a relationship with somebody, you already know, okay, this is who I am, this is how I learn, this is how I receive information, this is how I communicate, this is how whatever. Because if you don't know that about yourself, that explains a lot about people's rocky relationships, if they don't understand and can communicate and things like that. A lot of it can be traced back to you as a person and them as a person. Obviously, it takes two. So,
so like for you, how important is it to have like a long time? How important is that to like for you? And then like, do you do things to like make sure like as long as I got like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. So for me, when I come home, I like to decompress. Like sometimes it
yeah,
may not like yeah, I want my son to say, "Hey, Dad," blah blah blah. But
important.
sometimes I just need to get away for a minute,
Yeah,
uh, and just like have like 10 to 20 minutes to myself to just like let the stresses of the day
yeah,
kind of wash off of me,
yeah.
and then I can kind of deal with the questions and how my day was and all of those things.
Certain nights I get home at 9:30 and the house is quiet already. So
Okay.
then I have time to do what I have to do. The nights that the days that I'm off, and the days that I come home at when the kids are still awake, um, I actually try to help if I can, because I'm realizing that if it's a Sunday and I get off at like 6, right? I try to come home like, okay, can I take over? Can I play with the kids for a little bit to give her kind of a break? Because like I said, being home from work and seeing them is kind of like, oh, okay, for me. Um, on Mondays and Tuesdays, like when I'm off, like if I'm having a bad day or the kids are just driving me nuts, winter's usually tough because they're kind of bottled in the house, summertime, I just kick them outside.
For sure.
Because that's how I was raised, get outside.
Yeah, go outside, be fun, and swim.
Right. So you only come back for water and and food. So no, but yeah. So those days sometimes I will communicate with her and say, hey, when you get home, here's where we're at. Whether they've already been fed but not bathed or whatever the situation is, and I'll be like, listen, can you give me like 15? Let me go downstairs and just, whether I turn a game on or I just sit on my phone for a minute, like let me just get 20 minutes of undisturbed, just chill time, and then I'll help you upstairs. So
Gotcha.
that happens, and then I try to let that happen. I would try to let that happen for her, but on her days off, most time, like I said, every other Sunday, I'm home at a decent time. Otherwise, I'm coming home and the house is already quiet. So
Do you ever feel guilty for wanting to like have a long time or just like
no, because I think we, in any stressful relationship, um, you know, yeah, you as a couple, you become one, but it's still important for you to remember who you are as a person and have your own time and hobbies or things that you like to do. That's what I'm trying to like get into now, is do something on a more regular basis.
Uh-huh.
Whether it be golf, or we go shoot pool or something, or
Beer
just do
pong.
that. And then I'm trying to encourage her to do that. Is
Okay.
like get a friend. They went to the gym today, so that was kind of cool. Like, yeah, you're working out, but like you're still with your friend. That's kind of cool for her. Or they just go do something. Um, obviously on nights that I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
So like trying to plan that stuff out. But I think that's so important that some people just get so self-absorbed into one another that they lose themselves. Because then when you hear that thing like broke up, I had to find myself. It's probably a real thing because you just completely lost who you were because, I think people have to do a better job of like stepping out a little bit and just remember who you were before you were with this person. You're still that person inside, go do something, like go have fun. You shouldn't feel guilty about that. If you do, it's probably because you're doing it too much.
Yeah.
And Nick, I think Mufasa said it that way. Remember
Who
who
you
you
are.
are.
He did.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did say
That's
that.
all I really wanted to add to that, Nick. So thank you.
No, that's a
Uh,
good.
I love it. So I know Jay, he does this a lot. I mean, so it's really just like with your kids. I know your kids are younger, so like, do you involve them in any of your hobbies, or are there any hobbies? Like, I know you said you do beer pong, so obviously they're not doing beer pong.
No,
But do you ever have them
They
like
don't do
throw
the
the
beer
ping
pong.
pong ball into the cup?
no,
See if they're like proficient.
no,
Chip off the
no.
old one.
I don't usually keep the table set up anymore these days. It's on the shelf over there, chilling. Um, we don't throw things in the house because Nick has replaced a few TVs that I don't even want to
I
talk about it, honestly.
remember that story.
I
That
think
was
I
awesome.
cried like a little bitch at work about it for a couple of days, having
It
just a
was like a month.
shatter screen across my 70 fucking inch TV. Um, so it's outside stuff. My 3-year old's into kicking this little soccer ball. I feel like I'm like, okay, we're gonna get her into soccer, see if she likes it. With
My
girls,
son
it's
plays
hard.
soccer. It's pretty cool to watch.
With boys, I was like, man, I thought I had like we're gonna do football, we're gonna do baseball. Now with my
Yeah,
girl, like they may pick a sport that I don't know shit about, but I'm gonna freaking find out if it's gymnastics. I'll be
Lacrosse.
like, you hit that back double twist, you know what I mean? You
You
stick
hit
that
I
that.
hope it's
landing.
ballet. I'd
Stick
love to
that.
see an
You
elite
better
guard.
stick that
Listen,
landing,
you better do that balance beam.
Right. Fuck that Russian judge. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
She
You
doesn't
killed
know.
that, or whatever.
Your child is not trained well enough.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like, I want to I want, my dad pushed me and I liked baseball. I think if he hadn't pushed me, I don't know how much I would have done it, like how much, but part of my sports youth story is I wanted to make him proud. You know what I mean? So, and he wanted me to play baseball. He wasn't pressuring me to like get a scholarship and go pro and be all that. He understood that I wasn't, I'm not that guy, like you either have it or you don't. And but just to try, and just and play and I was good enough to play. It wasn't for me. So I don't want to push them in anything. I want to push them to try new stuff. It doesn't always have to be just one sport though. I don't want them to feel like they have to channel it all into one. Or I played 2 sports and I channeled everything into those 2 sports. I never even tried soccer. Like when
Yeah.
I was little, I don't mean as a teenager when you already have like a preconceived notion. When I was like 5 and 6, whenever you can put kids into soccer, basically never tried. Other sports, whatever it may have been, gym or I'm sorry,
Yeah.
wrestling, not
Like
gym,
in class.
wrestling. I mean, like, in the gym, something like that or whatever. Um, yeah. So like, I want them to experience a lot of different things, you know, and just try that, see what that feels like. And then if you find something you really like and you've tried a lot of things and this is what you want to hone in on, then I'll do whatever I can to help you hone into that sport. If it's getting you a private instructor, if I can, private lessons, whatever it may be, then that's what I will do. I just want to do it a little different than, my dad.
I'm definitely the same way. Like I've I would say I was fortunate in the aspect of like, I did baseball, I did basketball, football, um, I ran track briefly. I was on a swim
Yeah.
team at school. So like I tried a bunch of different things. I mean, obviously football stuck a little more, but I was
Yeah.
actually solid at baseball too. I had a couple of looks off the.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like that approach. I mean, try a bunch of different things, see what sticks, especially while they're young,
Yeah.
because you can kind of. I mean, they're young, so sometimes kids, has
Yeah.
first, later. My son isn't the tallest,
Yeah.
so for me, it's like, okay, I want him to play football, but in all honesty, I didn't start playing football till I was like 12.
Yeah.
How I got scholarships and all that, I was just fortunate.
Yeah.
But I would say really it's figuring out what they're passionate about, because I think a lot of times in life people end up doing things obviously because their parents did it or somebody they
Yeah.
love it, but like, are you really passionate about it? Because I think if you're passionate about it, you're gonna put the work in that it takes to be good at it. And but also we want to make sure we focus on the education side of things as
About
well.
jelly time?
Without without the education, I mean, yeah, sports are great, but you got to have
Yeah.
something to fall back on.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey Jay, did you have any questions for Nick?
No, I think he pretty much covered all the topics that we're looking for out of this podcast. Is there anything that you got? What's your favorite thing you got from what Nick said, Troy?
I mean, personally, I love the fact that the blended family and how him and being a stepdad and a father, and how his son's birth father, how they kind of coordinate and correlate things together. That's amazing, because like I said, you hear so many stories about
I could
that.
have it so worse. Yeah, I could
Yeah,
have it so worse.
it can be so
No,
messy.
So worse.
and
As
and that's exactly it. And I'm very fortunate for myself.
Right.
My biggest thing it was when you talked about when our jobs are stressful, the kids are stressful,
oh yeah,
and when you got two of those, then it's hard to even have a good relationship with anybody, including your best friends, your parents, your loved ones. But just for your guys' self-awareness to go to counseling, this family is important to us. Let's
Yeah.
work on ourselves. Let's work out, our each individual issues and both bring more to the table for each
Yeah.
other. And
Because like
that's
I
my
said,
biggest thing. That's how
I
we
mean,
keep families together.
yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect. She's not perfect. We have to work on things. And it sets an example for even my stepson. He's like, okay, growing up, he'll see me hopefully as somebody who cared for his mom and respected her and had a family with her. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Grew the family and, took care of her and, still together when he's hopefully 18, 20 years old, looking back. And all that can be traced back to at a time point when we could have just said, that fork in the road of screw it, we're done, or what's more important.
Right. That's exactly it.
So
so
it's a huge step, and it's not an instant overnight cure. It takes time, it takes repetition, it takes a lot of sessions, trial and error. You have to, they just gave you the tools. If you don't use them, then you're still failing. So it's a long process. It could be a few years. I don't know.
sure.
So
I gotta ask a couple questions to kind of like round this out. This is gonna be a quick session, nothing
yeah,
too crazy. Just like give me the first answer that kind of comes to your mind, and we want to try to keep it as short as possible, but
sure.
but understanding. Um, so what's the best piece of advice you could give to a new dad trying to find balance?
Now, do you mean balance with the kid or balance in life or?
Take it however you want to. How
Well, just understanding, whether what the dynamic is between the child's biological father and then the step parent. What role do you need to play so that you don't, and you shouldn't just bust in guns blazing. I'm trying to take over. You shouldn't just be sitting in the corner chilling. It's just find out the role that could fit you in that situation. Doesn't mean it has to always be that role because roles can change, but it can, but it can know your role basically, know your role and find out how to play it.
It's like a basketball team, right?
Yeah,
You
just
may not come to the team to be the scorer. You may be the
right, right. So
and play that role. Okay, I like that. My next question is, if you could describe fatherhood in 3 words, what would they be? I know it's gonna take a second, but 3 words is like, boom, this is what fatherhood is to me.
joy, patience, and um man, I don't know. There's so many words. Um, it's challenging.
Okay, joy,
The
patience,
challenges,
challenge.
challenges. It challenges you as a man every day. I feel
Okay,
like it does. It's
oh for
challenging.
sure.
It's challenging.
So this is a little look forward, right? So in the next 5 to 10 years, when your kids kind of are talking to you, your kids are still kind of young, so they'll be like teenagers. What kind of father do you hope to be, or like, what do you hope they look at you and say, like, "Oh yeah, that's my dad," or like, what do you hope they say about you?
um, well, I want to be the cool dad for sure.
Okay,
I want to be the cool dad, but also strict within reason. Like
okay,
I'm cool if
but
but I will shoot first and ask questions later.
don't take my coolness for weakness.
But F
Exactly.
around and find out.
It's just I want to be on a situation where obviously there's respect between my kids and I, but there's also, I'm not there to be their friend, but there's also I'm open to whatever you want to talk about, whatever you need to get off your chest. You can come to me as that person.
This is
I'm
kind of a
still your dad.
sorry, but this is kind of a side question. Do you feel like when your children are, let's say, adults, do you feel like that relationship dynamic changes? Do you feel like you become more of a friend then?
No, you become more of a you just kind of become more of like a mentor because you
Okay.
don't want to overstep. I don't want my dad calling me every day, telling me how to parent. But
Yeah,
I want when I talk to my dad, I want him to tell me, you know, you were like that too, and this is what I did, and you know, I want to hear his experiences.
gotcha.
I hope my kids will want to hear mine.
No, that's real.
So,
All right. So, last question. I think this is always a great way to end a lot of our conversations with other folks. And we kind of did this for us when we did episode 1. What's the legacy or the lesson you want to leave behind for your kids when you're, now I won't say here, when you're not here anymore, but like,
yeah.
what's the one thing that you want to leave legacy wise for them and something that they always can be like, this is what my dad said, or this is what my dad thought.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a lot of those things. Um, I think the biggest one, for because I have something that I've always struggled with, is don't let fear hold you back. So whatever your dreams are, goals are, ambitions, whatever it is, if you want to do something, go do it because you only get one life. And if you don't want to live a life of regret, and when you look back, man, I didn't jump off that rock wall into the water. I didn't go parasailing, and now I'm 80 and cripple or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't take that job. I didn't get that. I didn't go to the training, get that degree. You know, I didn't ask that girl out.
Yeah.
Don't let that hold you back. Go do things that you want to do and explore. Because at the end of the day, not saying every decision can just be whatever, but you can always try and fail and try again. So don't be afraid to fail.
Man, I love that, man. I really do. I think
Mhm.
that was great. I loved everything you said today, man. I appreciate you for taking the time. I know it was a
Yeah,
little, and
appreciate you having me.
we
Yeah, it's
planned
past my bedtime, man. It really.
but I
Man, I'm
definitely
just getting ready to log into work.
Yeah, that's true. Let's go.
we definitely appreciate you kind of tuning in and giving us your insight, right? Because I
Yeah,
mean, hopefully, the things you said tonight helps either another father or and sometimes we don't think about it like this. It could be a kid there who doesn't understand like why dad is how he is or why
Yeah.
things are said the way they are. So you can be impacting people in more ways than you realize, and we appreciate you for being a little vulnerable, telling us about your
Yeah.
background, giving us a little insight on your life, man. Because you know, as long as it touches one person, you know that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
That you got anything else for him, Jay?
No, thanks, brother.
I appreciate
I,
it. You know, I
I
love you
appreciate you
guys.
getting in.
Appreciate you having me. I'll see y'all at
Yes,
work.
yes,
Don't
sir.
be
Yes,
late.
sir. Don't be late.
Don't be late.
All right, man. Y'all
All
have
right,
a good
boys.
one. And it's Fatherhood Unplugged. Peace.
Peace.
Deuces. All right, Jay. You have a good one, brother.
Cool, man. All right,
Thanks.
man. Have a good night. See
I'm
ya.
gonna send this to you via email. It's still recording, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
send this to you email.
Cool. See
All
you,
right.
man.
Thank you, man.
Yep. Later.